Hey guys, welcome back to the Writer's Inn. I hope you had a safe and productive week. I am your host, Melanie Corinne, and today we are going to talk about 4 tips and tricks for artists, writers, and creatives to make the most of their quarantine. Not everyone is privileged enough to stay home during quarantine, so if you have that privilege and if everyone you know is safe and healthy and you have a mind to focus on your creative development, then you're in the right place. So just make sure while you're improving your art that you're there for your community and you're there for your friends and the people you love. If that sounds important to you or you're just trying to make my day, please like and subscribe and share with your friends. And at the end, we will do a fun thought exercise together. When I was younger and I was growing up, I used to think that if I could pick any superpower, it would be the ability to pause time. Not like immortality, just the ability to pause everything around me and take as much time as I needed to collect my thoughts, to sit with them, to get done the things I wanted to do. This is as close to that time as I have ever seen in my entire life. So in a way, if you have work that's been transferred to remote work, if you have a commute you no longer need to do, if you are just learning time management in your own home and life, now is a really good time to also double down on investing in your creative self. With that said, I think the first thing that any artist needs to do is consume. If you are a writer and you write a genre, consume that genre. Read those books that you've been putting off in your genre. If you want to be a romance writer, it's not likely people are going to read you if you've never read a single romance book. But even if you do read, it can't hurt to read more. TV writers are always taking in new series and new shows. It helps enrich and diversify your experience, your storytelling experience. It helps grow your empathy. It helps you experience different ways of practicing art. And it can be across the spectrum. You don't have to limit yourself. So it's really important you take some time out of your day to do that. Whether it's 10 minutes, if no one's judging, if you have a house full of kids and you have remote work to do and you got to take care of the family, like 10 minutes is enough. 10 minutes reading a day, it's better than nothing. I don't think it's possible to overestimate the importance of consuming literature and media as an artist. I think you need to be constantly doing it to the best of your ability. Tip number 2, exercise. If you are in the house and you are going stir crazy, you need to keep your endorphins up. And the way you're going to do that is by not being stagnant like me. Don't just sit in one place and do 18 hours of work at the computer because your home is now your office now and no one's there to tell you not to. That's not a good idea. So make sure to feed and water yourself and get sunlight. There's a lot of great YouTube videos on how to do yoga, like beginner yoga. There's a lot of calisthenics exercises you can do, like push-ups or crunches, squats, if that's your thing. If you are lucky enough to be sequestered or quarantined with someone you love. Intimacy is a very good way of burning calories as well. But that exercise will actually help with the endorphins afterwards. It'll help overall keep your mood up, your physical health. So if you can, please try to make some time for that, even if it's a walk around your yard, even if you're just walking your dog, even if it's a few jumping jacks, whatever it is, just be mindful of it and try to do as much as you can. 3, and this is really, really important, introspect on yourself in this time. A lot of people never stop to be present with themselves or sit in that silence. You don't need to have any revelatory experiences, but if you've never just sat with yourself and been present, you should try it. It's gonna help you find out what's uncomfortable. A lot of times when people can't do that, it's because they're uncomfortable with something in themselves. There's something they don't want to confront maybe, or there's something they'd rather be doing. They're social creatures, which maybe means that they're going to find validation and affirmation in people, outside sources, which is great, but it's always best if that comes internally first, and foremost. So if you can take this time to get to know yourself a little better, you have the time for it, and it can help you work to that place where you need to be of self-love that helps you with your confidence, with your projection, and then also with the confidence to create and put your all into that work. A lot of people don't do that. They don't analyze themselves. They don't spend time insightfully thinking about why or how they do things or where that comes from. And it's invaluable as a writer. It's invaluable to help you know yourself, but also to help you know how you're thinking when you come to the writing, what you bring to it, your process, why that process is, where it comes from. That way, if you want to tweak anything in the future, or if you see something that you see as a problem, you can react to it. For example, I have a difficult time with the chaos of the real world, right? Pandemics, violence, like terrorist groups, environmental, like pollution, nobody cares, it's terrible. One thing I notice in my writing is that even though there's a lot of conflict, great conflict in my characters, my settings tend to be very utopian. There's nothing wrong, nothing going on. And I think that is a subconscious wish fulfillment of the stress I'm feeling from my real lived interaction with the world, right? So that's some insight I have on myself that I've gleaned another insight into my writing because of. So that would be like an example. You can think about that. Okay, and we're already at number 4, which is to create or think about creating. Creating art can take a while. You don't have to produce a masterpiece. You don't have to produce a finished anything, but sitting down, getting into the process of it and letting yourself get something on the page, even if it's not finished, is really commendable because you're doing it. And then even if you're not doing it, if you're thinking about it and if you're brainstorming, you are subconsciously working on it. Your brain is really powerful in the subconscious, and if you start a problem and leave it consciously, your brain will continue to work on it while you're not like consciously paying attention to it. So when you come back to it, you'll be refreshed. It's why if you're ever doing any really important writing, you should start it early. Just get your first draft done and then wait a day, wait 2 days, come back to it. You're going to see it with completely new eyes. That's why after you finish a novel or a long form, you're supposed to let it sit for like 2 weeks or a month and just come back to it refreshed and rested. So even if you can't bring yourself to create, bringing yourself to brainstorm and verbalize and play with those ideas is just as important. But also, as a caveat to the create and think part, we're in a time of crisis right now, so it's really important for artists, writers, and creatives to understand that when this time passes, and it is only going to get worse, a lot worse before it gets better, it is up to artists, creatives, writers, to help do their part to mend society, to help uplift the people that are gonna need uplifting, to help. I really think that art, literature, writing, music, any sort of creative expression, I really believe that creative expression is a secular ministry for the soul, the same way that religion is for those who are religious. And I think that there's something that is really important that comes along with that. So after this, I imagine everyone is going to have survivor's guilt. I imagine everyone is going to mourn. And I think artists and creatives, writers, I think there's going to be a special place in that community for you. And I think thinking about what you create now, about creating, about what you'll create for the future, and also compared and also in sync with that introspection of yourself, understanding how you might take what's happening now and communicate that through art it will help other people cope. I don't think you can underestimate the solidarity that art can help people feel. And I think that it is definitely worth taking seriously your passion. You don't have to be an artist or a writer, a creative. You don't have to do it for a paycheck. You don't have to do it as a full-time job. You don't have to do it in any way, shape, or form that makes it so other people approve of you. If you feel that this is something that you're called to do, that you're passionate about doing, whether you do it full time, whether you have classical training in it, whether you're just doing it as a hobby, I think that everyone has a role to play in helping us heal in the future. And I don't think that we're going to get over this for quite some time. I think it'll be a few years before we really truly heal from this coronavirus. I think that you matter more than ever now. So that was it. Those were the 4 things. Really simple, really easy. I hope you found them useful. So here's my challenge for you. In your introspection, I want you to think about something that is difficult, and use your own judgment. Don't go anywhere that you don't feel you're ready to yet. But here's your challenge. Find out what is difficult for you as a person and spend some time thinking about that. Spend some time with that and think about how that informs you as an artist and what you can or can't do with that. See if you can stretch the limits of your creative ability. See if you can widen your perspective on yourself as an artist. And if you're brave enough to share, feel free. I'd love to see what some of you guys think about this or what you guys come up with. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time.